Hi, I'm Doug.
And I'm Daniel.
From Dynamic Computing. And welcome to episode 81 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. And this week, I've got my good buddy and my 16-year-old son, Daniel, helping me with a review of the brand new game from Mutation Software called the WIZ. Now, the actual name is WIZ Quest for the Magic Lantern. I'll just refer to it as the WIZ, just in the interest of expediency. This is a game available for AGA only Amiga, so 1200, 4000, and CD32. It's available on floppy, on a USB disk, so you can use it on your, say, WinUAE machines, or it is also available on an ISO that you can burn for your CD32. And of course, the digital version's available also. In this game, you play the eponymous Whiz. You're a cool little wizard, very colorful. You can see him on the screen back here. Move your head for a second, Daniel. There he is. That's the Whiz. You can see him right on the screen. And you are trying to recover your magic lantern from the evil witch. Of course, there's always got to be an evil witch in these games. On your quest to find the magic lantern, being a wizard, you've got a magic wand that you can use, and you have various potions that you can also access that have various magical effects that we'll talk about in a second. Now, Mutation Software has created various games in the past. They were probably most well known for Tommy Gun that came back out in about '96, and also a game called Tin Toy, among others. They've recently re-entered the Amiga publishing scene just in the past couple of months and are redistributing some of their old software and coming out with brand new stuff, which is pretty cool. The writer and creator of the WIZ game is Adrian and James Cummings. And the game was tested by our good friends Tony Axness and Laura Paul. They all did a fantastic job. They did most of the graphics and audio too, but they had some help from some other people on some of the graphics splash screens. Now, this is a platformer in the same vein as Mario. Wouldn't you say it's kind of Mario-esque? Yeah. More Mario than it is Sonic, yeah. Really. But Mario-esque. And being a platformer, you do a lot of jumping, and you've got a magic wand to defeat your enemies with. You'll be using this magic wand to shoot some kind of magic, a little blue ball, and the wand has unlimited charges, but personally myself, and I think you too, I find sometimes it's easier just to jump on the things and stomp them. Yeah. Like with the mushrooms, it takes about 4, maybe 5 hits to zap them with your wand, but you bounce on them twice, jump on them, they're gone. So I tend to just stomp when I have a chance to, and just use the wand for distance attacks and for those creatures you can't stomp on. Now, you've got several potions from the start of the game. You'll have a fairy potion, which makes you invincible. Little fairy circles around you and kills anyone she touches, because, you know, fairies do that. There's a healing potion, gives all of your health points back. When you get hit, you have a little heart on the screen that you'll see up there in the video that decreases every time you get hit until the last hit, and then you're gone. It's like 4 hits, I think. But finding a health potion and using a health potion, or eating a piece of food that you find on the ground, will restore some of your health. Daniel, when you're feeling bad or you're feeling hurt, do you ever just like find a piece of pie or like a chicken leg on the ground and pick it up and eat it to recover? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure I'm not the only one that does it. In the options screen at the beginning of the game, you have a choice of giving yourself 1, 2, or 3 potions, doses of each potion, and then either 3, 4, or 5 lives. So if you're a skilled video game player like myself, with just incredible skills, you'd choose 3 lives and 1 potion, where someone who's maybe more of an amateur and loses at most video games, you'd use 5 lives and maybe 3 potions.
Like the last one.
Don't you bring up Showdown with me, son. Don't you bring that up. Now, you've also got a cool freeze potion that will freeze all the enemies on the screen so you can take them out. And you've got a bubble potion where you go inside this little bubble and you can float across the screen, but it pops way too quickly. And lastly, you have this flaming fireball that flies out of the sky and drops down and kills your enemies. Now, Each of these potions takes like 2-3 seconds to activate. So you hit the down joystick button. Am I keeping you awake, son? Oh my, I'm sorry, I guess I'm keeping him awake. You hit the down fire button and you can choose which potion you want. Then you hit fire to activate it. And then it takes 2 or 3 seconds for the potion to actually take effect. So you're thinking, hey, you know, I got 4 spiked turtles coming at me. I'm going to fireball those little guys. And so you go over, you hit the fireball button, and your little wizard, he's animated, and he pulls the potion out, and he smiles at you, and he's getting ready to use it. And then the spiked turtles devastate you as you're waiting to start the potion. So you have to be careful. You have to do it with plenty of advance warning so the enemies don't stomp on you while you're trying to activate your potions. Now, new potions can be found all over the map. You can find health potions and such, but some of the more powerful potions like the freeze and the flame, I find you've got to go to find these secret areas. You know, you think you're done at the end of a level and there's like one extra little place you can go. You go there and you find like a fire potion and a healing potion right there. So keep your eye out for secrets and don't just rush through the game. Now, there are many enemy types in the first level, and each additional level of the game has a different kind of enemy. I'll let you find out about those enemies for yourself. But on the first level, there are walking mushrooms, and not the happy little toad mushrooms from the Mushroom Kingdom. These guys are trying to kill you. There are snails, because what game created in Europe would not have snails in it? They all seem to have snails as enemies. There's these spiky hedgehog things that you can't jump on and take 1,000,000 hits to destroy. They're aggravating, don't you think? And then lastly, there are the worms. Yes, tiny, cute, adorable little worms crawling on the ground, too low to the ground to hit with your magic wand. And then every time you try to jump on them, I end up getting damaged. I don't know about you, but you know, it seems like half the time you get damaged. These are literally the bats of this game. You guys all know about bats in video games. They're the ones you can't ever see, and they swoop down and get you. The worms will drive you insane. Now, later levels, they'll introduce things like walking pumpkins, which I think are really nicely animated. And the death animations of these kind of things are so cool too, as they go flying off the screen, screaming with this look of horror on their face. It's pretty funny, actually. And ghosts and Frankensteins and things like that. But I'll let you explore those levels on your own. Each level is divided into multiple sections, like 3, maybe 4 sections that you get through and try and find the exit. And then at the end of the level, you'll find a boss monster, because video games, that you have to keep an eye on the patterns for. And once you identify the pattern, you have to find a way to get up there and kill the boss. Like in the first boss, the only vulnerability on the giant flying mushroom is his crown, because why wouldn't it be his crown? That's the vulnerable point. But I'll let you explore all the other end bosses on your own. But enough of the technical stuff. Let's get the opinion of Daniel, the amateur game player.
Overall, I think this game is a pretty good game. It has a lot of very good graphics, and the music is good, and just overall it's a good game. The one thing that I think can be improved is some of the gameplay. Like when you're fighting a monster and you use your wand, it takes like 20 hits just to kill them with a wand, where jumping on them actually takes like 2 or 3. And the most annoying thing is the worms, for sure. I haven't died by them, of course, I never die. But when I'm watching him play, he's always dying by the worms, trying to jump on them and just getting hit instead of actually damaging them. So that seems pretty annoying. And also, some of the levels can be a little bit confusing. You could take one wrong turn and walk into a room of 20 enemies, or you could take it and find a secret room with potions or all that, which can be the good part of the game. But other times, you think there's a perfectly good corner, and you walk off the edge of the map with that and die. So that can be a little bit annoying sometimes. But overall, I think it's a very good game, and it's very enjoyable, and I'd recommend it.
I really do appreciate the insights. That's really good. And especially the sarcasm you have about my skill at video games. I really appreciate that.
Wasn't sarcastic.
So The game is beautiful as it is entirely done in AGA and only works on AGA machines, which will make John Shawler unbelievably happy. He will just squeal in glee at the gradients of this game. The backgrounds are wonderful and colorful, but they're not distracting, which is really cool. Sometimes you get a background in a game and it's so full of information it just takes away from the game. But these are detailed and you see these cool things in the background, but they don't take away from the game at all. I don't see why this couldn't be done as an ECS game too. You'd of course have to sacrifice a little bit of the color quality, maybe some of the backgrounds, and of course the gradients, but it would work fine as an ECS game, but I bet it would require 2 megs of chip RAM. The sound effects are really, really good. They've got some like digitized crows in the background. They've got digitized squeals of the monsters and squeals of the wizard that are really, really good, so that the audio quality is great. And you can have music and the sound effects playing at the same time, which is important for an Amiga game, and some of them just miss out on that. Music is pretty good, but a bit repetitive sometimes. The songs are good though. I actually like the songs on level 2, the crypt level, better than the one on level 1, although both are good. I think the one in the crypt level is actually a little better song. But on the first level, the music goes and then it just seems to kind of like abruptly stop or change and then start up again, and it's a little distracting a little bit. Once you play it a while, you get used to it. But when you listen to the song, you're like, that little part right there is not quite right. So maybe in a patch, they'll update that and fix the music on level 1. Gameplay is pretty good, actually. This is a typical single button game where you're using the up on the joystick to jump. Now, we're all used to that, being Amiga users, but we also have access to 2-button joysticks. So I would really appreciate the addition of an option of having a second button be able to use for jumping. That would be kind of cool, but I understand why they don't do it. The jumps don't have to be pixel perfect like in some of the Mario games where you got to get just right over on that last pixel and then jump. It's pretty forgiving, but sometimes when you have to do the angled jumps with some joysticks, it's hard, especially the really clicky ones. Getting those angles is kind of hard. I tend to use a Sega Genesis gamepad for mine because you can hit those corners pretty easily and it works okay, but this game does not respond to the second joysticks like others do. There is an interesting area where you ride this dragon, and this dragon is wearing this face mask, which is kind of a funny commentary on the world today. But I don't know if you agree with me, Daniel, but I find that's more of just like a tacked on thing because you don't really need the dragon for anything. You can run through and plow over the enemies for like 45 seconds or a minute, but you don't need him to do anything. And there's a couple areas where there's a treasure on a ledge above you, and if you get the dragon and you jump on the ledge just right, get the treasure and go back down and try and get on the dragon, it's hard to get back on the dragon because instead of getting on the dragon, you jump back on the ledge and you spend 5 minutes going, come on, you stinking dragon, and then I just walk past him and leave him. So making it a little easier to get on the dragon would be kind of cool too. The game is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The sound is actually really good. The gameplay is not bad at all. So is everything perfect in WIZ land? Not quite. It never is. Let me talk to you a little bit about some of the problems I've found with the game itself. Now, first off, I got the ADF files of the game. I created floppy disks of them, and I tried playing it from Workbench, because that's one option. You just click WIZ in Workbench, and it starts the game right up. It was so unbelievably slow, and I've switched over the video right now to playing it direct from Workbench. It was so unbelievably slow. My first decision was, I'm not going to review the game because I'm not going to say anything nice about it. It was almost unplayable, and I have no idea why. It's just crazy. It's just, look at how he just drags when he jumps or he tries to use his wand. It's like, oh, bad. But once I noticed that if I booted from floppy, the game played absolutely perfectly and nice and fast, I got over that and decided to review the game anyways. But that's something that needs to be corrected. There's no reason, if a game's designed to run from Workbench, why you can't have it run from Workbench. Most games just close Workbench down as soon as they're launched, reopen it as soon as you exit out of it. Now, this is not my machine that did this, because my beautiful little Amiga 1200 here is an 040 running at 40 megahertz with 64 megs of RAM. So there's no latency caused by, no RAM or a slow processor in that little puppy. So it's just a coding issue with the game. Now the second issue is a little bit more unforgivable in my opinion. The game comes on 2 floppies, which is great. Only works and only recognizes DF0. So if you've got 2 floppy drives like I do on my Amigas, I've got them on extra floppies on most of my Amigas, it literally won't recognize the second external floppy drive. So if you put both disks, one in each drive, it doesn't care. When it's time for the second disk, it says please insert disk in DF0. And there was nothing I could do to get around that. We had to deal with this kind of, I'll call it nonsense, in 1989 when people had copy protected games and it would only work from DF0 and only work if you boot from the floppy because of copy protection. But this is 2020. There's ways around that. The Amiga is so good at seeing multiple devices. Gee, your disk is called WIZ 2. I don't care where WIZ 2 exists. It can be in a RAM disk, a floppy, it can be an ADF file. I'm going to see it anyways because I'm an awesome Amiga. It's not that hard to do and it needs to be fixed. Second, there is a hard drive installation procedure where you can copy the contents of both floppies to either DH0/Wiz or DH0 or DH1/game/Wiz, and it says, hey, I'll see the disk, I'll work just perfectly running from hard drive. It doesn't work. It also says that if your hard drive has a different device name, like mine are SDH1 and SDH0, which should work fine. Doesn't work. I even went as far as to use assigns to rename or assign DH0 to, or DH1 to SDH0 or SDH1. Doesn't care, still comes up, asks for the floppy disk in DF0. No chance it'll work in anything else. That needs to be fixed, and that shouldn't be hard to fix because games can work off hard drive, no problem at all. But if we run the game off hard drive, are we going to have the same issue that I had running it from floppy from Workbench where everything is bog slow? I don't know, because it won't run from hard drive. So in a nutshell, the only way to run it is on an Amiga 1200, 4000, or a CD32 if you have the ISO, with a real floppy drive or a Gotek as DF0. There's no other way to run it. Or WinUAE, you set it up as DF0. If you try to mount these files with an image mounting program like GoADF, which is awesome, I'm going to be reviewing that soon, or Image Mount, it doesn't work either because those mount the floppies as different device names than DF0. They're like ADF0. Not going to work. So don't get me wrong. This game is 100% playable and 100% fun regardless of the disk issues. That they're not hard to overcome, but they're easy to fix. It's 100% worth purchasing, and I think they can put a patch out on itch.io, which is how they distribute the digital version, to correct these issues, and we can just copy those ADF files back over to our floppies or back over to our Goteks. Problems solved. This software and all of their other software is available on the Mutation Software website, which I'm linking right below here, and I'll have the link in the description. The disk version, which comes in a nice little package like this, which is kind of cool, and it's got a nice little Mutation logo, Mutation Software logo. It also came with a cool little poster about Yay Big, which I think we left in the car, didn't we? Yeah, sorry, left it in the car. The disk package, or the USB package, is $15 if they're still available, and that's $15 well spent, or 15 euros. The CD version, which is an ISO file, is available for $10, and you can download that and burn it yourself. And the digital only version, which comes as ADF files, is also $10. It's $10 well spent, no matter how you think about it. the game is really, really nice. Really, really fun. Do you agree? I mean, it's fun to play. It's enjoyable to play. And it's one of those where you're like, oh, I got to level 3 here. Let me just see if I can play it one more time and get to level 4. It's one of those games, so that's kind of nice. Support Mutation Software so they come out with new stuff in the future. Absolutely. I would say I would give this 4.25 Amiga check marks out of 5, and I'd put an extra half check mark in there if they fix these disk issues and make them work properly. Would you rate the game differently? Would you rate it higher, lower?
I'd probably do a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so a 4 from Daniel. So the master has spoken. Huge thanks to my wonderful patrons, who you now see scrolling down this list, superimposed over a cool picture of the Whiz. If you'd like to join my wonderful patrons and help support this channel in the future, pop over to patreon.com/10mark, which I will also list in the description, and help a brother out. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for joining Daniel and I today. And Daniel, thanks for joining. I enjoyed doing these with you. We really, really do appreciate it. So please like and subscribe. Should they ring that notification bell, Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say ring the notification bell. Why not? I never say that. Write some comments below. Tell me about your experience with the Whiz. Tell me about your experience with other games, modern or not modern, and how they work, installing them from a hard drive and how they could improve things. Buy this game without a doubt. I'm sure the authors are going to fix the tiny little issues with a patch. But until next time, I'm Doug.
And Daniel.
From 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out.